You said that you have never missed a Vinland Fair.
Never have. We live 3 miles straight east of Vinland. Deay was my granddad. My uncles were Jess, Les, Raleigh, and my dad was Howard. And we were always here. And anytime you walked by any of them, they either gave you a nickel or a dime, and you were instantly rich. So I went to Harmony Grade School, and we were in parades down here.
You know, they're talking about, we've had some other people talk about the parades, but now where did you have the parade and what did you do?
We had a marching band, and I have no idea what Margaret Cocker did with all of us. But we did have a marching band that marched not quite as far over as the tractor pull was last night, but down that way. And I was in 1st grade. Ted Crady was in it. He was in the 8th grade. There were, I think, 18 kids in that school at that time. So, and I think I have that picture.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure I do.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was a big deal to come to the Vinland Fair. We didn't do a whole lot of work. So it was quite a bit of fun.
Yeah. So what, now also we've been told that you dressed up, and I mean, like, this was big date night even to come down to the fair.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. In fact, Don asked me out for a date at the Vinland Fair in 1948. And we were married the next June. So
that's got to be kind of a special place for you over here then.
So that's true. So
oh my
gosh.
gosh.
A long time ago.
Yeah, but like I said, you just grew up down just east of here.
Vinland, and then my dad bought the farm over there by Harmony School, and my oldest son, Greg, lives there now. So, and the Days have owned that farm forever and ever.
Yeah, with it. And you said, but it was close enough, and you rode your Shetland pony?
I rode my Shetland pony down here to the fair. So, a few times, I don't remember how many, but it was a big deal that Dad let me ride at that farm.
Yeah. What all was at the fair then?
Well, there was a lot of livestock.
Yeah.
And my uncle did judge livestock. You know, and mostly just your neighbors that you really didn't see any other time.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was held later in the year, so...
It was in September.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what year it was changed to August. But I vividly remember years when it was so cold down here that they hung tarps all the way around the food stand.
Oh.
And someplace there is a picture of Murray Lawson in his uniform at that time.
Yeah. So, and the pies were a big thing then, even as now?
Oh yes, my mother baked pies forever and ever down here. You know, it's just what you did, and it was one of the biggest things that went on.
Yeah.
Our world wasn't too exciting to work.
But you know, here, you and Mr. Randel got married, moved to Lawrence, but this was still the big thing to come back?
In fact, the home that Don grew up in was the only house they moved when they built Douglas County Lake. So I always tell people that he grew up at the bottom of Douglas County Lake.
But you know, it is that was important then for you to come back.
Oh yes, this is where we belong.
Yeah, you know, it's how much has it really changed?
The biggest change is so many people out here that I don't know. Because it used to be that there wouldn't be 10 people down here that I didn't know or weren't related to. That's not the case anymore. Yeah. So that's a big change.
It's a good thing on one hand because it just means more people are coming down. But
well, and it keeps the fair vibrant, you know. But our 4 sons always have liked to come to the fair, and their kids always get to come down here and run around, and nobody was going to bother them or they weren't going to do anything. So it's been a fun place for all of us.
Very good. Thanks.
Being the 100th anniversary of the fair, we're getting some videos of people who have connections with the fair and recollections of their history and activities, and we'd like to get you guys' take on the Vinland Fair and the Vinland community for that matter.
Okay.
Well, we're John and Chick Hood, and we moved into the Vinland community about 28 years ago. We built a house and got involved in the fair pretty soon after that. I have all the buttons, all going all the way back, so I know I've been coming that long. And we are members of the Kansas Grassroots Art Association, and I can't remember what year it was that we first started cooking the dinner, but we started cooking dinner about, I know 1991 we cooked it. So back around that time we started and cooked the dinner for Thursday night. And we had, to begin with, we had chicken and I can't remember what else. But then we switched to spaghetti after a while, and we would make dinner for 200 people. And to prepare for that, we made most of the pies for that day. So we would have what we called pie night.
We made all the coleslaw.
And we made all the coleslaw and all of the cornbread. Yeah, for that first dinner. And we made all that in our kitchen. We have a very nice large kitchen. And so the ladies of the Grassroots Art Association would get together and we would make 40 pies in one night. And then Ray would come over and gather the pies and take them to Ray and Kathy's freezer. Ray and Kathy lived right across the road from us. And we'd put them in the freezer. And then John would clean the kitchen the next day.
Morning I would scrape the flour and lard off the floor. And mop the floor.
Yeah, and mop the floor up. And then on Wednesday, I have a old restaurant stove, and I can cook 6 pies at a time in there. So I would cook all the pies on Wednesday afternoon and then Thursday morning, and then we'd all gather at the fairgrounds, cook dinner for 200, and cut up our pies, and fall down exhausted by the end of the night. And what else can we say about that? But then the funds, we'd split the funds. Part of it would go for the Grassroots Art Association, and part of it for the Fair Board. And and John, you always did the hamburgers, which was a real dedicated act because we're vegetarian, and he would have to sling the hamburgers all night long, and then go up and take a shower. Yeah. So, but besides that. I used to do the pet parade with Bernie and Fred and really enjoyed that experience. And now mostly work in the food booth. And I'm co-superintendent with Donna Cavanis for the baking department over in the barn for the entries there. So, but it's wonderful to gather with our friends and talk once a year on the weekend.
Thank you, folks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You keep coming back?
Pie. The pie.
To buy?
The pie.
The pie, that's right. But that's the reason,
Is it running?
It is actually.
Okay, I'm Mike Yoder. I'm a photographer for Journal World, and I've been coming to the fair for about 24 years. I've documented the fair in photographs for 23 years. First as a photographer with a newspaper on an assignment. When I first got to the newspaper in 1984, I covered an assignment here at the fair, and I kind of fell in love with the fair. And so I made a point in preceding years to take vacation days and come down here and just photograph the event. And I soon realized that it was getting close to the centennial, and so I kept collecting photographs, and then planned to do an exhibit at the Lawrence Art Center, and it's currently up here in 2007 through August 24th at the Art Center, and I managed to do a little book and to honor the fair and 100 years, and looking at all this other stuff that's out here. I wish I'd have had more of it so I could have done more of an extensive book, but maybe somebody can gather all this together and do that, because I think it deserves to get all in one place, and it would be really neat. Somebody would take that, do a big publication.
I'm a member of a band, and we've been able to have the honor of playing here for 3 years, I believe, the Alfred Packer Memorial String Band, and we certainly love coming down here and being a part of the fair. And I've made many friends down here. Does the camera have any questions?
What's your favorite
Oh, man. There is no one favorite kind of pie. It's just, can you eat them all?
My dad had two favorites, hot and cold.
Hot and cold, yeah. I saw somebody said they had a blueberry rhubarb pie. Yeah, you had it, didn't you? Yeah.
Kind of a rhubarb.
I'm sorry.
11.
We moved to Vinland in 1983, in 83, into the old church, the Presbyterian church, and Matt put his woodworking shop into the church part, and we lived in the rectory, and fell in love immediately, fell in love with the people. Hubert Hoskinson used to come down and tell us stories. He eventually told us he was mad at us because our windows weren't open when we had the band over for practice. He wanted us to open all the windows, and became very quickly involved with the community, and obviously the fair became a strong focal point.
Our first interaction with the Vinland Fair was actually not the fair itself, but was the fairgrounds. And in 1985, we wanted to have a wedding party here in Vinland. We had been married in Massachusetts, and we wanted to have a big party here. So we had this kind of new idea, a potluck wedding, and we were either going to get a tent or we were going to rent the fairgrounds, we thought. So I called Hubert Hoskinson up, and I said to him, I kind of did a little song and dance, and I said, gosh, Mr. Hoskinson, you suppose we could rent the fairgrounds? And I have to rent this tent. It's going to be about $800, and what do you think it would be to rent the fairgrounds? And he said, well, how about $10? And I said, that sounds good. And so he said, just let me know, and I'll open the gate and take down the electric fence and mow it out for you. And so we invited a bunch of the local folks to the wedding as well, and I think you guys came, and it was just a huge event, and had lots of different kinds of music. I was in an Irish band at the time. We had bagpipers and guys from Chile playing music, like you hear from Peru or something. And about halfway through the wedding party, Hubert comes up to me and says, well, me and some of the fair board members have been talking, and we've agreed that if you leave the concrete blocks from the barbecue, we'll waive the fee. So we thought that sounded like a pretty good deal, so we went with it.
And in years following, Matt ran the talent show and still does, up through 2007.
Well, I think I should be. Weedle was running Donna Babbitt was running the talent show. Cabinets was running the talent show for a long time in there.
And that's been another focal point then for us, is bringing music of all kinds and talent of all kinds. From poetry to the belly dancer. We've had a great time. We still identify with living in Vinland, although we've been in Baldwin 20 years. We still seem to feel like we're home in Vinland.
Yeah, that's right.